In 1960, an audio clip with a frequency range of between 60 to 100 Hz was recorded near the Southern Ocean, specifically the Antarctic waters off the west coast of Australia. A submarine personnel was the individual who first reported the sound heard, giving it the name bioduck, attributing the sound to that of a duck making sounds underwater. Now I'll play the audio clip and see what you guys think. The sound actually remained a mystery for approximately 5 decades past 1960, as it was incredibly difficult at that time to decipher the origin or possibility of what could have caused the sound, with it eventually being solved in 2014. The bioduck sound originated from Antarctic minke whales, though it was not clear as to why the whales were producing a sound at this frequency. It was first hypothesized that the function of this call was for navigating areas with heavy ice coverage, or for feeding times, or even serving as mating calls, although at the moment there is no definitive explanation for the exact purpose of the calls. Now let us explore a phenomenon that even meteorologists and scientists struggle to explain. The term skyquake is given to an unusual sound that occurs in the form of a loud, distant booming noise, along with having noticeable effects, such as vibrating windows in buildings for brief moments. They often occur with no noticeable causes, such as by a thunderstorm, aircraft, or explosions. There are a few theories on what causes these sounds, but ultimately it is not clear as there are multiple factors to consider. An obvious cause will be that the sounds originate from loud, distant sonic booms from military aircraft. A sonic boom is a sound associated with shockwaves created when an object travels faster than the speed of sound. There are also more scientific theories, one being that the sounds are caused by seismic activity in the form of small earthquakes less than 2 miles deep, which are close enough to the surface that they are able to produce noises without strong ground shaking. The other theory being that they are simply caused by atmospheric activity, such as thunder crackling over an unusually long distance. An alternative explanation for skyquakes can be that, due to many of them being reported near large, deep bodies of water, such as lakes, their causes are likely by large releases of gas from lake sediments. One notable example comes from the satirical short story titled The Lake Gun by James Cooper in 1850. In an excerpt from his story, he noted sounds resembling heavy artillery that came from Sitka Lake in what is now known as upscale New York. These sounds he described could not have been explained by natural laws at the time. In fact, they are still unexplained to this day. Here we have one of the more bizarre sounds in my opinion. UVB-76, dubbed The Buzzer, is a shortwave radio station that broadcasts a very short, monotone buzz sound in the frequency of 4,625 Hz. Even more alluring is that the sound has been repeating itself at a pace of a range of tones per minute every single day since the 1970s, or Cold War era. Rarely, the usual buzzer signal gets interrupted and a voice speaking in Russian is heard delivering cryptic messages, resembling that of an audio ghost in the airwaves, although the true purpose of the messages or transmissions is a complete mystery.
Михаил, Дмитрий, Женя, Борис. Михаил,
with the buzzer also nicknamed the Doomsday Radio, since the Russian voice on the other end of the airwaves states these ominous-sounding cryptic messages containing names, numbers, and code words. One example of such messages are these names on the screen, which are spelled out in the Russian phonic alphabet, followed by an additional series of numbers and letters, the whole message reading this. Like all other messages, the meaning behind it is not exactly clear. There are a number of theories on what purpose UVB-76 serves, but the most likely explanation is that the radio serves as a channel for Russian military communications. But it can also be that the radio serves for testing atmospheric conditions, specifically in the ionosphere. Aside from the typical buzz sound and the rare cryptic messages, there have been reported distant conversations and other background noises heard behind the buzzer. This suggests that the buzzing tones are not produced internally, but are rather created by a device placed near a constantly open and recording microphone. Lastly, on an additional note, there have been situations in which various individuals interrupted the signal and in a few cases even knocked the radio offline for a time. These so-called, quote, radio pirates even hijacked the station's frequency to place songs on the air, such as the 2012 hit song Gangnam Style and Drugs by Sonic Mine. Somewhere lying in the vast sandy fields of the deserts lies an unusual natural phenomenon where the very sands encompassing the land almost appear to be singing of sorts. This occurs when the sand is disturbed by forces such as wind, walking, or sliding. By doing so, the sound emitted can be described as a humming or low booming sound, and in some cases even appear to be roaring. The decibel sound level of this phenomenon can even reach upwards of 105 decibels, which is loud enough to cause hearing damage after prolonged exposure. There are a few theories on how this phenomenon occurs. It has to deal with the sand meeting several conditions in order to sing. For one, the grain shape of the sand must be very round, needing to be between 1/10 and half of a millimeter. The composition of the sand must also be felsic, meaning mostly containing silica, another name for quartz. The humidity level must be perfect, not too dry or not too wet. Lastly, wind is needed for movement and vibration of the sand grains. When these conditions are met, is when the sand begins to produce noise. The hum is a persistent low-frequency sound described as a humming or a droning sound that is audible to some people who have reported hearing it, but not everyone will be able to hear it. This phenomenon has been reported by people in multiple different countries and only appears to occur indoors late at night. Those who are bothered by this invasive sound experience symptoms such as headaches, nausea, and insomnia. Here's what an example sounds like. While tinnitus might be an obvious culprit, since the condition is fairly common in adults and causes false auditory perceptions like ringing or buzzing even when no external noise is present. However, there are two notable cases that rule tinnitus out of the question, linking the sound to a real phenomenon. The first case was the Bristol hum, which occurred in 1970 in Britain. An outbreak of citizens across Britain reported concerns of hearing a mysterious noise described as persistent droning and buzzing. Scientists at the time had begun researching this, quote, environmentally noise phenomenon. Their conclusion was that the apparent low frequency waves reported were being generated by distant industrial sources. The second notable case was the Taros hum in New Mexico. Sometime in the early 1990s, many distressed Taros residents had been complaining about the same persistent droning buzz sound like it had occurred in Britain previously. Leading to this, theories were created on the plausible causes of what causes this phenomenon. Many researchers and scientists had come up with the idea that the source of the hum could have originated from distant industrial machinery, radio transmissions, distant traffic/railroads, gas pipelines, or even deceitful psychological perceptions that are not true. Despite this, there is no universally agreed upon explanation on how only a few people report hearing this low frequency sound, while the majority of others don't. The 52 Hertz whale, or named simply 52 blue, is a mysterious individual whale of an unidentified species that produces calls at an unusually high frequency, far above any known whale species. To paint a comparison, blue whales, the largest species of whales, typically call between 12 to 39 Hertz. Here's an audio clip that captures the unusual calls of this mysterious whale. The whale itself has never been identified or visually sighted, but its calls have been recorded via hydrophones in the northern Pacific since the late 1980s, following migration patterns similar to blue whales and fin whales. This whale has also been nicknamed the loneliest whale in the world, and this is because due to the abnormal frequency of 52 Blue's calls, it would make mating connections between other whales impossible, as they would not be able to respond or communicate with each other at this high frequency. While the species of this whale has never been identified, it is likely that the whale is either a hybrid between a blue whale and fin whale, or even severely malformed, which can help explain the abnormal frequency of its calls. On an interesting note, a documentary film released in 2021 titled The Loneliest Whale, The Search for 52, follows a team of ocean scientists in their mission to find the mysterious whale dubbed 52, who likely spent its entire life in solitude somewhere out there in the Pacific Ocean due to its bizarre frequency calls. Not only that, but the film also dives into other themes, such as exploring the Cold War era science that led to the original discovery of the 52 Hertz whale, the negative impact of whaling and its current consequences on today's whale populations, and most importantly that society's dependence on technology can lead to feelings of isolation among people. Which is fitting, considering that the 52 Hertz whale serves as a symbol representing total isolation. Just imagine that, an unknown creature drifting in the vast oceans, victim to complete solitude.